I'm 20 minutes late. I was going to start at 10 o'clock, but Streamlabs was fucking up. But now it seems like it might be working. Let's go over to my PC. See if I can hear myself coming through.
Seems like it might be working.
Yeah, I hear myself going through. Awesome. Hello and welcome. Yes, Aetherdrift. Part 3. Let me just go and I know Cher's around, so I'm just going to give her an at. I'm streaming. There we go. And we'll crack on, shall we? Now, I think this is probably going to be a bit of a shorter one today, because I seem to have been going a bit slowly for whatever reason. Maybe I'm just feeling a bit ranty than normal at the moment, so I'm not sure I can get through the whole set in one single part tonight. So I'm kind of planning to do a slightly shorter one, maybe an hour tonight, and then an hour with part 4 maybe. Let us just go and see what's going on. Right, I thought I'd start here tonight. I've been talking about this, haven't I? This is the deck, as I've been calling it. You know, with Bright Glass Gear Hulk being printed, and then all these cards like Phenomenon Investigators and Mystical Teachings and Sylvan Tutor. Cards that just fetch the next card in your deck, pay for it immediately. And when they made Gear Hulk, I thought, you know, we've reached critical mass. It may be that we've already got there, though. That's the thing. As you can see, I've built this deck here with suggestions from other people. I went off to the Discord. We started brainstorming ideas. They came up with cards like Lock and Load, which is very much the type of card I'm talking about. Capricious Hellraiser, which is 99% the card I'm talking about. You know, it's you only need one spell in the graveyard. You know, you can't play it if it's the very first card you play in your deck, but you only need one spell to make it into a fetchy pay card. Is that what I'm calling it? Apparently. And then I'm making up numbers with things like, oh, Breach the Multiverse. Yeah, that was somebody's suggestion. Again, you pay for it. It puts something into play for free straight away. So that's exactly the type of card we're talking about. And then we've got some things like Another Round, which, you know, does require a creature to be in play first. And then, you know, ropier than that even, Coffin Queen, which requires something to be in your graveyard first. Not easy to do necessarily. This deck, as you can see, is playing with Breach the Multiverse and Lock and Load, which might potentially put something into the graveyard. Coffin Queen, though, does act as a win condition because it gives your creatures haste. And so I put this together yesterday. Played a couple of games with it yesterday. Played it today in training grounds. 2 turn 1 wins in standard in training grounds with this today. I got 2 turn 1, a turn 2 win, and a turn 4 win. Yeah, the turn 4 win, I believe I went off on turn 2 or turn 3, but I whiffed. The deck kind of stalled. Probably because I drew into like a Coffin Queen. It can happen, you know. It's, as I say, it's not yet a perfect version of the deck because there is a slight potential for it to stall. But obviously, it's not too much of a potential to stall because I did get those 2 turn 1 wins today. And even after stalling in the other game, I immediately just went on to win the game on turn 4 anyway. So yeah, I think there's a problem. People have finally started to engage with my thread that I started about this last week on the MTGPQ forums, and I guess we'll just wait and see what happens, really. I think it's patently insane that we're getting turn 1 wins in standard, but we shall see. Let us head on to the old set review. Anybody remember what card we were at last time I did the set review in part 2, Aetherdrift. Obviously somewhere in the middle. Lotus Loot, Mimeoplasm, Mindspring Merfolk. Did we do that? I remember it was it the Mimeoplasm? We did the Mimeoplasm. Did we do the Merfolk? I don't think we did the Merfolk. So let's start with the Merfolk. Okay, so 137 out of 257. That is 120 cards left. So are these 60 cards? We'll see if we've raced through. We might try and get through the whole set tonight. We're planning to do up to about card number 200 tonight. Let's go! Mindspring Merfolk. What do we got here? At the beginning of your turn, draw a card. And don't put mana in it. Well, obviously, we don't much care about that these days, do we? Drawing a card and not putting mana into it. Exhaust happens once. Your Merfolk creatures get +4/+4. Put a pin in this one. We're going to see something a bit later on, which looks a lot like it. Oh, hey, Sarah. Sarah's in the chat. Yeah, I don't know what was wrong before. I did try and start at 10 o'clock, but Streamlabs, which is the software that I use for streaming, just kept fucking up and giving me error messages and things. But yes, it's working. Thunderbirds a go. Where were we? Yes, I was just saying, put a pin in Mindspring Merfolk because we're going to see something quite similar at a higher rarity, admittedly, later on, and compare and contrast. We move on. Malt Tender. When you exile a card from your hand, destroy the top card of your library. I mean, this effect can trigger up to 5 times a turn, can it? Ooh, I mean, okay. I'm not getting ChatGPT from this one. Yeah, I'm just getting rubbish. I'm just getting, bad. This is more of a Clive card than a ChatGPT one. We move on. No, it's not Clive. It's Kevin who designs these cards, isn't it? My God, how can I get Clive and Kevin mixed up? I'm really sorry, guys. It's just you look so similar. Especially with those new glasses that you've got. Yeah? It's easy mistake to make. Momentum Breaker. Boost 5. That seems high, doesn't it? At the end of your turn, gain X life. X is equal to your speed value, then destroy this support. My God! That's just terrible, isn't it? So in 5 turns, or, admittedly, if you've enabled this with some other... In fact, you're going to have to enable this with some other card, aren't you? Because you can't attack with this card to put your speed up. It's going to give you some life, a maximum of 7 life, and then destroy itself. What a piece of shit. Monument to Endurance. Do anyone know what this thing is? I've seen this thing all over the artwork of this this set. But I don't know what it is or where it is. I believe they're racing through all different planes, aren't they? In Aetherdrift, isn't that the point of Aetherdrift? Is they're going to all different planes, so it could be any one of a number of places. I'll have to go look it up. When you discard a card, create a gold token. Then you draw a card, and your opponent loses 3 life. When you draw a card, this support loses 1 shield. 8 shields. Garbage, isn't it? Isn't that just absolute garbage? just as I'm at a loss for words with that one. It's just terrible from beginning to... my brain wants me to say something about the fact it's got 8 shields. I mean, who cares? It's just terrible. Everything about it is terrible. Mu Yanling. Mu Yanling used to be a planeswalker, didn't she? She's now a human wizard pilot. When this creature enters the battlefield, create an ether bike token. Let's see what this does. At the beginning of combat, your first creature gets plus X plus naught. X is this support shield, and it has one shield. Right, so that's obviously not very interesting at all. At the beginning of your turn, your creatures gain flying. Right, that's nothing. When a creature deals combat damage to an opposing player, draw a card. Right, hang on just a second. I mean, I was really expecting the ether bike token to come back, weren't you? Yeah? Given that this card, it creates a support that gives this creature plus, your first creature, plus 1 plus 0, and there's no easy way to kind of pump it up. I was really expecting there to be some more things about ether bike tokens on the card. I'm a bit taken aback by that. Anyway, it's another one of these, isn't it? It's a 12 mana card. It's within spitting distance of Loot, isn't it? Who costs 14, draws a card, and fills it full of mana. And these ones decide not to. So great. So we can throw them in the bin then. Muruganda Raceway. Yeah, see, this is one of the planes we're going to. Muruganda. That was in, I believe they did some of that in Future Sight, the set Future Sight. I don't think there's ever been a Magic set that has taken place on Muruganda, but I believe we went there in Future Sight, which, God, that's got probably about, don't tell me it's 20 years ago now, Future Sight. Probably is, Jesus. Just don't tell me that. I don't want to feel old. When this support enters the board, the first vehicle card in your hand gains full mana. It's not a vehicle itself, it is a land, and it's just going to give one vehicle some mana. And boost 7, at the beginning of your turn, convert 4 gems to the most present colour on the board. Right. Is anyone going to play with this and not Cryptex? I don't see it. I mean, we haven't seen any vehicles that we give a toss about, have we? Yeah, I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care that this would fill my Kylox's Vault Strider full of mana and then just become a really, really terrible land that takes 7 attacks to turn on. Yeah, I'm just playing with Cryptex, or indeed any one of a number of other lands. Terrible. This card cannot currently be obtained in card packs. Don't buy that one for money, people. That's my advice to you. Nesting Bot. When this creature dies, create a servo token. Right, that's a 1/1. What were the ones in Kaladesh called? Were they servos? Oh, right, I'm gonna have to check this actually. Were they servos? Somebody name me a card with. Oh, supporting servo. Maybe it's called a supporting servo. Okay, fair enough. I seem to remember them being called servos, but maybe I just used to call them that. Give things their own unique names. I don't like it. So we're creating, anyway, when it dies, we're creating a 1/1 creature. It's got boost 5. Yeah, see, I'm more inclined to think something like this was created by ChatGPT. You know? It's the boost 5 of it all, isn't it? You know? It's the fact that we have to do this complicated thing to get a reward that no human being, certainly no game designer, you know, not even one who was just writing words down and not thinking about them would ever come across, would ever think that's a thing that I would write on a card. I call ChatGPT on that. Night Market, at the beginning of your turn, gain 2 mana. Right. I mean, I don't have to say it. You Swarmyard, yeah? Swarmyard costs 7, gives you 5 mana every turn. See, I don't see why, Webcore, I don't see why this has to be this much worse, right? When you make a card like Swarmyard and a card like this, right? And have you been making lots of cards like this? We throw all of them in the garbage, right? You're probably terrified that, well, you know, if we make a load of cards that give you 7, you know, give you 5 mana for 7, people are only going to get 1 and they're going to stop collecting. We're not. We're always going to want the best possible card. In fact, if this card gave you 5 mana every turn, it would still be loads worse than Swarmyard. Because Swarmyard gives you a creature every turn, you know? Swarmyard's really good. Some might say a little bit too good, but, you know, in this current standard environment, it doesn't look anything like too good. So yeah, I get that it's common, but don't make it so much worse than in a stab. It's okay to make a bunch of cards that all cost 7 mana, that all give you 5 mana every turn, and then the extra thing they do can be a load of different things. And we will get all of them and use the one that is best for the particular circumstance at the moment. There's loads of times when I can't use Swarmyard, for example, in coalition events these days, because, you know, we get penalised for having creatures destroyed. Swarmyard's pretty terrible if you can't have any creatures die, because they've all got a defensive ability. They're all tiny, the Swarmyard tokens. They've all got a defensive ability. They're very, very likely to die. You know? So make a Swarmyardy type card that, you know, gives some life every turn. Or that... oh, that destroys a top. There you go. Instead of making one of these things that does... make a Swarmyardy card that destroys some cards from the top of your deck. It's obviously worse than Swarmyard most of the time. We're still going to go after Swarmyard and collect Swarmyard. We move on. Nimble Thopterist. This is going to be another one of those cards, it is, that makes 1 Thopter token. I mean, even in Origins, most cards in Origins were making more than 1 Thopter token, weren't they? Yeah? I mean, I know there were certainly cards in Origins that were making 1 single Thopter token, but we also had some, I can't remember the name, there's a 15 mana blue one, isn't there, that makes at least 2, and it used to give them unblockable or something ridiculous. It wasn't good, but you should be able to look at this card and just go, you know, more than 1 Thopter token. Nissa Word Soul Speaker. What do we got here? Landfall. Creature and support cards in your hand gain 10 mana. Yeah, it doesn't really do enough to be part of a combo deck, does it? You know, I mean, we've got in, you know, in Legacy we've got Part the Water Veil, which is cheaper, and is constantly pouring, you know, mana into your cards. Only if you've got really broken gem conversion, because you have to convert 5 gems with Part the Water Veil. But there is really broken gem conversion in Legacy, and yeah, so Part the Water Veil's doing that kind of thing. This isn't all this is doing. All this is doing is giving you some more mana when you've got some mana. Landfall means you've got some mana, and this is just giving you some more mana, you know? It's nice to have Part of the Water Veil going in Legacy, yeah, because every time you get one of those every time you play a big, you know, Galta-like spell, or Attempt with Discovery like mass green conversion spell, you draw a bunch of extra cards. With Prism Array, I can't see this being played. I really can't see this being played, to be honest. I don't see the point of somebody. If anyone sees the point of it, Please explain it to me. What have we got here? Oil Deep Gear Hull. This is a cute little card. I've seen this one before. This is 10 mana, 4/4 lifelink. Okay, you know, whatever. Bit of lifelink. Bit of ward, which we don't give an absolute toss about, really, on this creature. And when this creature enters the battlefield, your opponent discards their first and last card. I mean, that's, you know, infinite obliteration is all right, and that's an infinite obliteration stapled to a 4/4 lifelinker. It's a cute little card. It's low high shit tier. High shit tier, but low high shit tier. You know? I mean, even then, even having said that, there are times that, you know, you might want to discard cards from your opponent's hand. Usually when I'm discarding cards from my opponent's hand, I'm doing it with something like Time Reversal. Oh, there is one of those coming up in the set later on. Don't you worry. That hasn't escaped my notice. But, you know, back in the olden days, I would much rather have discarded the cards from my opponent's hand with Days Undoing, frankly. And then Time Reversal came along and did the same thing better. But, Steve, you're all saying out there, but, Steve, those don't actually discard cards, do they? They replace the cards in somebody's hand with more cards. That's not discarding. That's rubbish, isn't it? And immediately I say, well, no, it's not. Because the important thing when you discard somebody's cards really is the mana, for me, is the mana that you throw away out of their hand when you make them discard cards. Keeping somebody down to absolutely 0 cards, not really a viable strategy in the long run, I think. It may become so again, but I kind of doubt it. And especially you're not going to build that kind of strategy with this card as a one-off. If you're going to keep somebody down to absolutely 0 cards, you're going to want to do it with something repeats like Painful Quandary. But this, you know, this is a cute little card. Some people might like it. Too low power for my liking. But I don't mind it existing, which is more than we could say for most cards, isn't it? At the beginning of your turn, your creature tokens get +1/+1. This is a 12 mana with 4 shields. I mean, that's not pumping them up a lot, is it? Considering the amount of creature tokens I'm slapping into play with my Elspeth. Yeah. Oh, for each of their reinforcements. Oh, right. Okay. So it's doubling up. I still kind of don't care, to be perfectly honest, you know. That is win more, really, you know. And if I'm going to win more, I've got to tell you this, because I do this, actually. I do this midweek. You know, I don't like win more stuff, you know. I'm quite happy to just play with Elspeth Archangel, the Vanguard. Yeah. And not put any win more. But if I'm going to put some win more on at the moment, the card I use is Dollmaker's Factory. And I do use that in like training grounds. And I played it Lost in Caverns of Ixalan earlier today, in fact. So I'm more likely to play that than I am this. But there is some more, so let's just have a quick look. Then, if you control a zombie creatures you control gain flying. When a card leaves your graveyard, create a white zombie token. Okay. So immediately we're drawn to the fact that there's no limit on the triggers there. Yeah? So if we have a load of cards in our graveyard and then we exile our graveyard, we might very well get a lot of white zombie tokens. I do like a white zombie joke, but I'm afraid I don't know enough about Rob Zombie to actually. So I'll have to leave that to like Goz. Go and watch a Goz video if you want white zombie jokes. I assume he does it because he plays a guitar, doesn't he, and stuff. So I assume he knows about this. So yeah, so we've got a doubling up of creature tokens. That's the first half of this card. And then we've got the potential to create, well, we don't care about flying. We've got the potential to create a lot of zombies. If you can exile a lot of cards from your graveyard. I mean, there might be some walkers that do that. I mean, there are some walkers that do that. I know Grist, for example, can exile a lot of cards from people's graveyards, but isn't white. I'm sure there'll be some Kayas that do it. I don't know, though, if this will trigger, you know, if you were to use that Kaya who exiled a card every time it goes into a graveyard, I don't know if that would trigger. You'd probably have to have the card in the graveyard first and then exile it after it got there, rather than exile it when it's on its way there. I don't know. Interesting combo card. See what you think of it. Maybe some of the Johnnies are going to chase this. I don't know. Not for me, but yeah, don't mind it, I guess. Ooze Patrol. When this creature enters the battlefield, destroy the top 2 cards of your library. This creature gets +X +X. This is the number of artifact cards in your graveyard. I mean, this is like proper. This is all the way above low shit tier, isn't it? And nearly it's nearly getting into mid low shit. Still low shit tier, but I think it probably is like at the very top of low shit tier. This card is yeah, like low shit tier. Outplace Oblivion. Chandra looking cool there. When this support enters the board, deal 2 damage to your opponent. Wow. At the end of your turn, destroy this support if you have boost 3, then deal 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker. Obvious garbage. I mean, just don't have it get destroyed, yeah? That would be the thing, isn't it? I'm still not playing with this card. But just don't have it be destroyed. And just let it deal, sod it, let it deal 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker every turn. That's probably too powerful for an uncommon, but it's not too powerful for a card. Avia Automech Artisan. When a creature you control becomes blocked, that creature gains trample. Uninteresting. At the end of your turn, if you have a creature or vehicle card in your hand, put the first creature or vehicle card from your hand into play under your control. Okay, so are we in... We're not quite in Mana Filler Giver territory, are we? We're kind of falling between 2 stools here, aren't we? Because this is faster than loot, isn't it? Loot costs 14, yeah? And doesn't start pulling a card from your deck and putting it into play every single turn until next turn. Now, this is going to start doing that. Start putting a card into play from this turn. It happens at the end of this turn when you play it. But it does not fetch the card from your deck. You have to have the card in your hand. That is significantly weaker. And I think that little tiny gain in speed is probably not enough for anyone to give a shit. It's... I mean, you know, it's even faster, isn't it, than Dragonhawk? Because Dragonhawk triggers at the end of the turn, gives you the card, but you can't play it straight away. You've got it ready to go for next turn. You can't play it straight away because it puts it into your hand at the end of turn. Like I say, I don't think that tiny gain of speed is going to make anybody care, because you have to actually draw all of the extra cards yourself. Could be wrong there. Maybe some people will like this one, but not for me. Pace Setter Paragon. Exhaust. This creature gets +1/+1 and gains double strike. I mean, that's like low shit tier, but low shit tier, isn't it? Double strike. This is the kind of thing we should be doing with exhaust, isn't it? Giving something, making something bigger and making it double strike. It's probably significantly bigger than this, but I have to say, for a terrible card, weirdly I don't mind it existing. Packed Doll Terror. Okay, a Duskmourn here. I mean, where has this car come from? This car looks like it's come from Dustmore, hasn't it? Is Valgavoth, has he decided to take part in the wacky races? Where has this terrifying thing come from? I'm interested to know. Answers on a postcard, please. Maybe it's just what the Phyrexians drive around. Like the old, you can imagine the old Phyrexian gremlins from back in the olden days. You know, when they made New Phyrexia is like a genuinely terrifying place, isn't it? Full of motherfuckers who look like the mouth of Sauron and fucking xenomorphs. It's a terrifying, terrifying place. Whereas in the very early days of Magic the Gathering, Phyrexia had like little gremlins running around. And you can imagine the gremlins driving something like this. Should we actually read what it does? When this creature or another non-token artifact creature enters a battlefield under your control, your opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Uninteresting. When a non-token artifact support enters a board under your control, your opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Again, I don't think... Why am I even saying again? This doesn't smack of ChatGPT to me. Can you see where I'm going with the ChatGPT thing? Yeah? To me, there's a certain quality of cards that have been badly designed and a certain quality of cards that have just been shat out by ChatGPT. And this is a badly designed card. That's how it reads to me. Is anyone picking up on this? You know, does anyone kind of see what I'm shooting? It's difficult for me to describe what those qualities are because they're both types of very bad cards. But that's just what I'm getting. Anyway, pedal to the metal. Target creature gets plus X plus 0 and first strike. X is the number of artifacts you control. Right. I mean, we obviously don't care about that. Pima Trailblazer. This one was spoiled by... Might have been Goz. It was in spoiler season anyway. And this is your basic power doubling creature. Sorry, I don't know why my screen keeps flipping to the left like that. When this creature deals combat damage, increase this card's level by X. X is equal to this creature's power. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have this creature get plus Y. If you do, this card's level becomes 1. Now, I believe I did the maths on this at some point, and it's... I think you're better off just not giving it plus Y. I think you're always just better off having its power double, aren't you? But given it is a power doubler, I don't think it's much bigger than being a power doubler. In fact, I think like I say, I think if you do at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have this creature get plus Y. I guess you're getting a little alpha strike. Okay, I guess that's what it is, isn't it? I guess you're getting a little alpha strike, yeah? You put it into play as a 17 mana 3/3. You hit your opponent with it a few times and it doubles up, doesn't it? Increase this card's level by X. No, that's not what it does at all. Actually read the card, Steve. It's amazing what you do when you read the card, isn't it? So when it deals combat damage, it increases this card's level by X. That's what it is, yes. So you put it... I'm going to have to work it through. You put it into play. Next turn it swings as a 3/3. Deals 3 damage, increases the level to 4. Plus 3 increases the level to 4. Next turn, you can choose to put that 4... Y is equal to the card's level. Yes, you can choose to give it plus 4, and you're swinging for 7. And then the card's level goes up to 8. Yeah? It's weird, isn't it? It's basically a power doubling effect, but, the card's level keeps dropping to 1 instead of dropping to 0. So you swing for 7, the power goes up to 8. The next turn, you dump the level into the card, you swing for 15. Yeah, the level goes up to 16. So as long as you're using that ability to give it plus Y every turn and its level becoming 1, its power is doubling up. But if you don't do that on a turn for some reason, the level continues to go up. But overall, you end up dealing less damage. Now, there are times when you might want to deal less damage. You know, if you're you don't want to kill your opponent too fast because you're doing objectives, you might be happy to let this creature's level build up without its actual power building up. But in general, you're kind of worse off if you don't just double its power. So for me, it's kind of over-engineered, isn't it? It's a power doubler with a bunch of extra words on that make it worse. And then you've got some exhaust at the end, which... yeah, which I don't really care about. Like I say, I'm going to be drawing a lot of cards during the game because I'm shteev and I do that. And I know it pumps up all of your creatures, but I'm not sure it's worth waiting and waiting and waiting and sitting on that level building up slowly. Yeah, without dumping it into the power and just actually dealing the damage, just so that you can exile a card if it happens to be the right time to exile a card and you haven't done it 2 turns before, and pump up all your creatures. I'm very much in the realm of just double up the power every turn and hit your opponent. Anyway, it's basically your base. For all these words, it's basically your basic power doubler, basically. And as such, I kind of want to put it in god shit tier. I guess we could call it mid, but it's, you know, some people will like it. Perilous Snare. What have we got here? Now, this sounds good, doesn't it? Perilous Snare. Weirdly enough, this is how my brain went. When I took in the top section of this card, I went Perilous Snare, white, 7 mana, support, 4 shields. I went, ooh, maybe this could be some kind of good removal card. Yeah? And then I saw boost 4, and I thought, I bet this is shit. When this support enters the board, exile the creature your opponent controls with the lowest cost. Oh, this is a bind card. Yeah, I should have guessed it was a bind card, given that it's a white support. Do people like these bind cards? I mean, I know there's a couple of them you can play in Colours of Magic, but they do keep making them, don't they? They keep making these bind cards, and I can't believe they're popular. Exile the creature with the lowest cost. Well, that's not the one you want to get rid of. If you can't exile the opposing support with the lowest cost, right, that's definitely not the one you want to get rid of, because that probably means it's going to get rid of a token support. So this looks garbagey to me. Let's see what happens. Maybe we're going to get something interesting happening with boost. When this support leaves the board, return the last card with the bind emblem from your opponent's exile under their control. You see, they could have done something interesting with the boost there, couldn't they? The boost is unrelated to the bind thing here. The boost is at the beginning of your turn, a random creature you control gets +1/+1 permanently. It's unrelated to the snare thing, and just not particularly interesting, is it? How about, because bind isn't good enough, so how about you do this, yeah? How about you say, you give it boost, yeah? You exile whatever the target is, and you don't make it be the lowest cost thing because that's terrible, right? And then the boost is somehow related to the thing coming back into, rather than when the support's blown up. Yeah, I'm workshopping this as we speak. I haven't really thought it through, but you know, that's how I would make the boost thing related to when your opponent's creature comes back again. You wouldn't want it to just blow up when it hits boost 4, though. This is going to require more work and more time and effort for my brain to do than I have during this review. So let's move on. That's just a bad card. So we move on. P&LR, this one was spoiled in spoiler season. When a creature you control deals combat damage, if you control a vehicle card, your vehicle supports gain 2 shield. Then your first creature gains trample. At the end of your turn, create an LR Aetherdrift token. Oops. Poink. Okay, so this is at the end of your turn. So you're putting this into play, and then at the end of your turn, you're going to get to create a vehicle support. And then that vehicle support, then at the beginning of your next turn, and indeed subsequent turns, that's going to create a racer pilot token. If you control a pilot, your first pilot creature gets +X instead. X is equal to the highest shield among supports you control. Now, the Aetherdrift itself only has 2 shields, but P&LR, you'll notice, I skirted over this earlier, when a creature you control deals combat damage, if you control a vehicle card, your vehicle supports gain 2 shield. So P&LR is putting supports into play and increasing the shields of them. And then those supports she's putting into play are then creating a creature which gets progressively larger based on the highest number of shields you have in a support in play. I'm really fascinated by this card. I don't know if it's going to turn out to be good. I feel like it might, simply because I know that one of the content creators has made a video about this. And they were talking about it dealing 150 damage or 300 damage or something. So you all might want to go and watch that video. I haven't seen it yet, but I do own this card, but I've not had a chance to play with it. And I wonder if it's maybe fast enough to play in training grounds, right? Long-time viewers of the channel will know that when it comes to creature generators, token creature generators, I don't really like creatures that generate creature tokens. I like supports that generate creature tokens. That's why I'm always banging on about Thopter Spy Network and Elspeth, right? But this is a creature that generates a support, and then that support generates another creature. So I'm fascinated by it. I think the problem you've got, though, is that if I were to play this, right, and then at the end of the turn, I get an Aetherdrift token, right, and then in your turn, you kill this creature. That's what I'm always worried about. My creature's dropping dead. Because Greg, unfortunately, gets to play as many cards as I do, in theory. I'm then left with, a racer pilot token that gets +2/+2 every turn, which is not particularly interesting. So I don't see this as being a really great card, simply because when it dies, even though it leaves some value behind on the table, I don't think it's leaving enough behind on the table if it dies. However, I do wonder if you can just play this in training grounds. And maybe I cannot be asked to do the fucking maths on this thing. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's creating this, and then that's creating that, and then this, when it attacks, is increasing the value of a shield. And in fact, it does it for both of them, doesn't it? When a creature you control deals combat damage, so it's going to increase your vehicle support's shields by 2 when this attacks, and when the racer pilot attacks. So it feels like if it's left unmonkeyed with, if your opponent doesn't kill your creature, maybe it will start to escalate in power pretty quickly. And certainly the fact that I know somebody, is it the Hunter who made a video? I don't know. You can go and search for it. But the fact that somebody's made a video on this leads me to believe maybe it does escalate quite quickly. I'm quite pleased that I got it. I spent some 120 jewels in the last week's Elite pack, and I happened to luck into this, so I'm quite happy I've got it. I haven't played it yet, unfortunately. I doubt it's going to be one to rush out and get, but I'm interested to see. how quickly it escalates. Maybe it will surprise me. Plow through. Your first creature fights target opposing creature, then destroy an opposing vehicle support. That's all I've got to say about that. Point the way. When a support is destroyed, convert 3 gems to green. No. How about you make it really good? How about you make it Anissa's Pilgrimage, right? Here's a way you could use boost, innit? Make it Anissa's Pilgrimage, yeah? Cost 3, comes into play, immediately starts converting gems. Maybe it's really good at doing it. Maybe it converts 3 gems every turn for a cost of 3. Yeah, that's quite good. But it's got like boost X on it, and then when you build up the boost, then it dies. So I'm thinking about this the wrong way, aren't I? You know, I'm thinking about, and I was the same with that other card, that Perilous Snare, wasn't I? I'm thinking, what if you turn the boost into a negative thing, so you get extra power right now, but somewhere down the line the boost kills it, and that's really not in the spirit of boost, is it? The idea of boost is that you know, as you get faster you can do better things. So I'm not designing cards in the spirit of boost. However, the card I just designed is a fuckload better than this piece of shit, isn't it? Possession Engine. I can't remember if this one got spoiled, but I remember seeing it. Maybe somebody showed it to me. When this support enters the board, gain control of target opposing creature. Okay, I mean, we always like that kind of effect, don't we? It costs 15, and we don't know what it does when we already have 3 creatures in play. Then disable that card until the beginning of your next turn. Okay, not a problem. At the beginning of your turn, I remember this now. Disable that card until the beginning of your next turn, then gain X mana. X is the power of your first disabled creature. So it looks like a card that's going to steal your creatures. But it's kind of not, is it? Because I don't get to use your creature. Once I've stolen your creature, it's permanently disabled, in effect. But what it does do is it then generates lots and lots of mana. So, I mean, some people are going to be delighted by this, that they can steal their opponent's Galta, yeah? And the Galta won't do anything. You know, it's not like I get the Galta to attack with, but I do get, with my Possession Engine, 25 mana every turn. So, it's kind of cute, isn't it? You know? I mean, it's a bit... I don't like the way it uses up a creature slot to do it, but if it didn't use up the creature slot, it wouldn't be as flavorful, would it? Like, you could do it, you could have this same effect without using up the creature slot if it had a level, you know, and you just exiled the creature, increased this card level to, you know, to level X, and then you gained X mana every turn. But it wouldn't feel as flavorful. It wouldn't really feel like you had stolen your opponent's creature then. And I grok that, to be perfectly honest. You know, I like the fact that this card is a little worse because it has some cool flavour on it. Not powerful enough in Modern Standard. Quite like it. Pothole Mole is one ugly motherfucker. When this creature enters the battlefield, destroy the top 3 cards of your library, then return a random land card from your graveyard to your hand. Does it gain mana? No? Then we don't care. Pride of the Road. What do we got here? 7 mana, 2/5, boost 4. Beginning of combat, target creature gains double strike. I mean, that's blatantly not powerful enough for boost 4, is it? Priest of the Crossing. Yes, please. Let's have a masterpiece. When this creature enters the battlefield, fetch the first vehicle card from your library. That card gains full mana. Right. At the beginning of each combat, creatures you control get +X+X. X is the number of vehicle cards you control. Right. Well, the boost at the end seems pretty small, doesn't it? It's not counting the reinforcements. This card is only fetching you 1 vehicle. So the boost itself from this zombie bird cleric, I notice, is kind of small. So really the value is in fetching the first vehicle and giving it full mana. And I cannot help but compare this to Golden Wish, which only costs 4 more mana and fetches two cards from your deck and gives them full mana. Vanguards and artifacts, so that's more utility there. And also fills up your loyalty. I don't see it. And plus, if I was going to fetch a Vault Strider, which is still the only vehicle that I care about, wouldn't I want to pair up Vault Strider with a spell like Golden Wish? Because Vault Strider is good at spells and not a creature like Priest of the Crossing. In fact, wouldn't I not care, in this specific example, that this gives something +1/+1 when my Vault Strider is giving it +more/+more? Don't really like it. You know, you've got to respect the full mana a little bit, but there are just better cards around. Prowlcatcher Specialist. Exhausted creature gets +2/+2. No, see, I hate that. Even though this is only marginally worse than the creature we had before. Give it +X/X and double strike before. You know? Like I was more... For some reason I like that better, even though I'm going to play neither of them. And yeah, and they're basically kind of about the same power level. I prefer the other one because you look at it and it makes you think, oh, that would be good if you bumped up the numbers a lot. And this one, you think that less. I'm weird, aren't I? Let's move on. Pyrewood Gearhulk. Now, the Gearhulks have been good, haven't they? Yeah, we've seen Bright Glass, which is problematic. We've seen the Infinite Obliteration one. We've seen the Coal something, the black and red one that sucks a creature, reanimates a creature from your graveyard, which is probably a bit problematic with Grist. So they've all been good. Let's see what this one's like. When this creature... oh my god, this one's terrible, isn't it? When this creature enters the battlefield... Your creatures get ++2/+2 and unblockable until end of turn. Then those creatures gain vigilance until the beginning of your next turn. It's not anywhere like... I mean, you know, just the stats of a 7/7 13 creature with vigilance puts it into, you know, high shit tier. But it's nowhere near the power of the other ones. Yeah, definitely languishing in shit tier, that one. Quag Feast. Destroy target opposing creature with power 8 or less. Oh my goodness, no. No, you cannot afford to make your 1/1s worse. Oh, there's more though. Then destroy an opposing non-land, non-vanguard support at random. Destroy the top 4 cards of your library. Yeah, it's not good enough though. I could go for a card. I could kind of go for a card at the moment that destroys a creature and a support. Could I go for that? No, I couldn't go for that. I'm lying. Even for 7 mana, Requisition Raid is just too good, isn't it? You know, in this day and age, the chances are, if you're worried about something, it's Galta putting loads of creatures and supports into play. And get rid of 1 and 1, a card that gets rid of 2 things, you're going to throw that in the bin and go and play with Requisition Raid instead. I don't even really like Chaos Warp. I don't mind Chaos Warp, but the fact that you have to choose either all of your opponent's supports or all of your opponent's creatures, that's really powerful, but it's kind of not good enough. Sorry. You know, and yeah, I get it, Requisition Raid, you've got to wait a turn or even 2 to get that spree with Requisition Raid to blow up everything, but it is worth it. Take the 8 power or less off, for God's sake. Give us a card that just blows up a creature and a support. Yeah? If you're going to power creep, then fucking power creep, you know? It's the bad cards that you can afford to power. The problem is, Webcore, that you're power creeping all the cards that are already too good anyway. Power creep some of the crap cards. Racer's Scoreboard. When this support enters the board, discard a card and draw 2 cards. At the beginning of your turn, the first spell card in your hand gains 2 mana and boost 3. Fuck off. Have we seen any good boost cards? I don't remember any good boost cards. Here is Radiant Lotus. I mean, Lotus, come on. I bet in paper, I bet this is great. You know, you call us something Lotus or Mox, everyone always sits up and thinks, oh my goodness. Chaos Warp is OP, says Andrew Embry. Hello, welcome in. Have you been in one of my streams before? I'm just looking at the chat at the moment. Anyway, yes, Radiant Lotus. We want it to be good because it's a Lotus. When this support is destroyed or loses a reinforcement, okay, that's not good. Convert 5 gems to one of the colours of your greatest mana bonus. Yeah, no, I think really we're looking at a cryptex. There may be more on this. When the support loses shield, when it's destroyed or loses a reinforcement, convert. When it loses shield, convert. Convert 5 gems to one of the colours of your greatest mana bonuses. Convert 5 gems to one of the colours of your greatest mana. Okay, they've just written it. Those are both the same sentence after the colon. They've just written it in a weird way, haven't they? So when it's destroyed or loses a reinforcement or loses shield, it converts. So, you know, yes, strictly speaking, this can convert multiple times in a turn. If you combine it with things like Galta and Tempt with Discovery. But if you're playing with those cards, you don't need this. It's not good enough. It's exclusive content. Don't buy it. That's my advice. Ainbury, of course! Of course you're Ainbury! Why didn't I put that together? Fucking hell. I feel foolish. I've never seen it written out in full like that before. Rangers Ether Hive. What have we got? 11 mana. Could be a Colours of Magic card. I bet it isn't. When this support enters the board, your first creature gains Vigilance. That's nothing. When a card with Exhaust is cast, gain 2 Thopter tokens. Okay, that's just garbage. Reckless Velocitor. Is he missing a horn or is it just behind? Oh no, is that actually his other horn? I can't tell whether his horn is behind that, whatever that thing is. Somebody's got their thumb over the lens there, or whether that is his horn, or whether he's got his horn broken off. I think that's supposed to be his. He's got a big hand, hasn't he? Get a move on, Steve. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control a mount, or he pretends he can still read the card, even though obviously can't, or a vehicle, this creature gets +2/+0, tramples, rubbish. Redshift, Rocketeer Chief. Yeah, this is going to be one of those crap mana filler givers, isn't it? Yeah, activate 2, gain X mana, X is this creature's power. Are we playing this or loot? I think we're playing with loot, aren't we? If this creature has 3 or more reinforcements, wow, that's quite bad, isn't it? So you get to exhaust. It's a nice, powerful effect. A random card in your hand gains 4 mana. You know, loot does it every single turn, but, you know, we're ignoring that. But, you know, giving 4 mana to something is a nice, powerful thing you might want to do with exhaust. But they killed it by requiring it to have 3 or more reinforcements. Garbage. We move on. I mean, you don't. No, it is. It is. Activate 2, for God's sake. No, it's just garbage. Reef Roads. Oh, this is one of those terrible lands that converts a single gem. ChatGPT. Regal Imperiosaur. At the beginning of your turn, your dinosaur creatures get +5/+4 until the beginning of your next turn. I mean, high shit tier with those numbers, I guess, you know. It's attacking for 10 every turn. But nothing better than that. Nothing else to say about it, really, is there? When you discard a card, draw a card. How are we doing? Oh, my word. Yeah, see, look, I thought... Oh, we've only been going for an hour. I was thinking we're going for nearly an hour and a half, but of course we had that false start at the start of the stream, didn't we? So I've only been going an hour. When you discard a card, draw a card. Okay, when this support, oh god, it's got one shield, we don't like that. When this support is destroyed, fetch the first artifact card with the greatest mana cost from your library. That card gains full mana. I mean, I think not. I think not. I mean, it's there might be something you can do with this, but you've just got that little delay, haven't you, between casting it and having it blow up, you know? And maybe it'll blow up really soon, but maybe it'll land in the corner where Hixus always land, and it won't blow up at all. It'll just stay there forever. So, I don't know. Maybe. You know, we're in the ballpark of Whir of Invention here, but we're right on the other side of the ballpark. We're waving at Whir of Invention. But Whir of Invention he's got his hands over his eyes, he's squinting, he can't really see us. Ride's End. Destroy a random opposing creature if you can't destroy a random opposing support. I mean, for God's sake, for 12 mana, let's have both of them. Yeah? Let's blow both of them up. This would be good, wouldn't it? No, it wouldn't be good. I was saying this would be good at 11 for Colours of Magic, but what's the problem with Colours of Magic at the moment? Too many good control cards. So, okay, fair enough. Ripclaw Wrangler. When this support enters the board, your opponent discards a card. Just the one. Crack Skull's making them discard 2, isn't it? At the beginning of your turn, your first creature +4/+3. It's garbage. Riptide Gearhulk. Here's another Gearhulk. This one's got double strike. Hooray! And boost. Ooh. What have we got? 20 mana for a 2/5. Prowess. That is spells, isn't it? Oh, it's non-creature cards. When you cast a non-creature card. And who knows, it might trigger off fucking support tokens as well. I have no idea. But it shouldn't, but it might. So it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Still seems a bit small, doesn't it? If you've got to play a load of cards and it's only got like 2 power, even though it's got double strike. And then boost 5 at the beginning of your turn. Return the first opposing creature and a random opposing support to its owner's hand. Right. I mean, it's boost 5 is the problem there, isn't it? You know, that would be... We'd have something there which would have double the power of Rakdos. Blowing Rakdos kills one thing every single turn, doesn't it? Which honestly is a bit slow for me in Standard, the way it is currently. I'm not saying that Rakdos isn't OP. It's a very powerful card and a very good card to have. If you ever see it in the alt art version in Fibblethip and you've got a few crystals to burn, you should probably get yourself hold of one of those. I think I've got the alt. Yeah, I definitely got the alt art. In fact, the alt art version of Rakdos looks better than the original version. But I feel the boost 5 is killing this. I don't mind bouncing things to my opponent's hand as long as I'm getting them out of play, because he's still got to find the mana to put them back again. But I fear the boost 5 really kills that card. And that's all I've got to say about that. Rise from the Wreck. Turn the first 2 cards from your graveyard to your hand. They don't go into play. They don't get into any mana. We don't care. We move on. Risen Necro Regent. The Zombie Cat Knight, this one. Boost 3, create a zombie token. Nope. Nope. Like most boost cards, you could just take the boost thing off it. And I still wouldn't care. I mean, it would get somewhere, you know, nicely into the, you know, low, high shit tier. High, mid shit tier? Somewhere around there, you know, without the boost. But it has the boost. Draw 2 cards. Mind you, this is so shit that when you are mastering this card, it probably will end up creating some zombie tokens. Still terrible. Risky shortcut. Draw 2 cards each player, loses 4 life. Too expensive for 7 mana. I do sometimes find myself playing with, what's it called? Read the Bones for 4 mana in Grist. Honestly, I do. Every so often. Just because, you know, I like playing with some cheap cards in Grist because the more cheap cards you have amongst all the expensive stuff, the more likely they are to just cast off those corrupt gems. But this is too expensive. River Churn Monument. Activate 2. Destroy the first 3 cards of your opponent's library. Right? So basically nothing. Exhaust. Destroy the first 4 cards of your opponent's library and exile all cards from your opponent's graveyard. Then your opponent loses X life. X is the number of cards exiled this way. Some bright spark at some point is going to tell me that this is the kind of card. This graveyard exiling card here, this weak ass, low shit tier graveyard exiling card is exactly the type of thing that will keep Grist in check when Grist is throwing Galters at your face. And when that person says that to me, I'm going to punch them in the face. Revapire Verge. Yeah, this is one of those not good enough lands. 2 gems to red, you've got a vehicle, 2 gems to blue. Road Rage. I'm not going to do my Keris Matthew impression because I really can't. Look it up. Deal. I never thought they were very good. What was her band called? They did Road Rage. They did that one about Mulder and Scully. See, I told you I couldn't do a Welsh accent. Mulder and Scully they did. And they were terrible. Catatonia! That's it. I never liked them. I'm sure she never liked anything I did either. Deal X damage to any target. X is the number of creatures and creature reinforcing you control up to 10. How much damage this is to do? It does a finite amount of damage, therefore not enough. It's bad. Create a racer pilot token. Well, no, that we know they're a 1/1, even though they get bigger. Oops, where are we? We were there. Even though we know they get bigger. Yeah, it doesn't get a lot bigger, does it? No, just awful. Just bad. It's bad. Right, I can see a... we said we get up to about 1... Did we get to say we get to 190? Sod it, let's get going to... Nah, we're good. We don't want the part 4 of the set review to turn out to be way too short, do we? So I can see a little rare card peeping on the side of the screen. We'll do this card, which says, return target creature your opponent controls to its owner's hand, then draw a card. I mean, that's very 2017, you know. Back when we only had Origins and a couple of sets, if they'd have printed this, we'd have thought, oh yeah, I might play with that. And then we'd have thought, actually, Harbinger of the Tides is a lot better than this, isn't it? That's what we would have thought. But now, nope. No. I mean, yeah, fair enough. Colours of Magic, but, you know, plenty of options, plenty of good control options in Colours of Magic anyway. So, the last one for tonight, we've got this Rocketeer Boost Buggy. Oh, no, I like this art. This is the art we get on when we load the game at the moment, don't we? When we load the actual matches. And I quite like the art. I bet I don't like the card. When your first creature attacks, create a gold token. Right, not powerful enough. Exhaust, your first creature gets +3/+1. No synergy there, is there? It's just here's a subpar effect, and here's another subpar effect that's completely unconnected to it. Garbage! Do you know, I don't think we found anything good tonight either. I think we will call it a night tonight. We were a little concerned when we did part 1, you know, and we tripped across Bright Glass and we tripped across Bloodghast. We were a little concerned about this set, and then since then, we've not really found very much, have we? I'm sure there are at least 2 cards coming up in part 4, though, that are certainly worth talking about. So, there's that to look forward to. Hooray! But thank you for being with us tonight. Did they figure out the boost boast mix-up, says Sarah. I've no idea. Yeah, apparently there was an issue. I thought, and I may have mentioned this on the stream before, I thought having exert and exhaust in both in this set, because we've got some, there's not been a lot of exert cards, but we had some exert cards. I thought that would be confusing. It turns out that that wasn't where the confusion arose in Webcore's brains. They actually got boost and boast mixed up, which is fair because those things do sound very, very similar. Maybe they should make a beast that boosts and boasts. What do you think? Yeah? That'd be good. I'm trying to think of another word that works with that, but I can't think of one. Never mind, eh? Yeah, okay. Thanks very much, everyone, for being in. I will try and do the last part of the stream tomorrow night. Actually, what day is it today? I bet it's Monday, isn't it? Yeah, I better do the last part of the stream tomorrow night because Wednesday is the pub quiz. So I will see you all here. Be there or be square. It'll be 10 o'clock again. Tuesday, 10 o'clock UK. And you can Google what that means. And I will see you all then. Thank you so much for being in. And hopefully Twitch will be working properly next time. So I can actually start at the prescribed time. All right, take care. Bye-bye.